Hey everyone, it's Carissa and it is Satur-YAY. We are celebrating the weekend by getting our craft on. And today I wanted to show you how you can use just one color of dye ink and build it up to create those contrasting looks that you want on those color layering stamp sets. So I'm going to be using this Hero Arts color layering stamp set. This is the ice cream stamp set, as well as the coordinating dies to create a very yummy birthday card. So I'm starting out with the solid image of the ice cream scoop and the ice cream cone, and I'm going to be using my Misty tool to do this. I'm using it for two reasons. Number one is that I can stamp multiple images at the same time, and the other one is that I'll be able to easily line up the detail images right on top of each other when I'm using my Misty. I'm using the full size for this because I'm going to be doing some background stamping later, so stay tuned for that. And I started out by stamping my ice cream cone and my ice cream scoop. Now, for that first one up in the corner there, I used the Altenew blush colored ink. I love that color. And for this next scoop, I'm going to be using Hero Arts Mint Julep. And I stamped that ice cream cone in some latte chalk ink from Hero Arts, but I felt like it was too dark. So I inked it up again. I moved it. I inked it up again. I kind of blotted it off on a piece of scrap paper and then stamped it. And then I'm going to add some more color layers to that later on to kind of build up that color. And you'll see me do that. So now I'm going to move on to stamping some of my detail images. I have the detail image for the cone laid over the top of it. And this is the detail image for the ice cream scoop, and I'm laying that right over the top. And I also have that solid image of the ice cream scoop below so that I can ink up all of these at once and stamp them all at once. So the cone I'm inking up in the latte chalk ink. Once again, I'm going to stamp that at full strength. And for the detail image on that ice cream scoop, I am using the Altenew blush colored ink once again to stamp right on top of that. Now, this is only one layer of that blush, and you can see I have a little bit of contrast, but I wanted to create more. So I'm going to leave that detail image right in place. I'm going to ink it up with the Hero Arts blush ink once again, and I'm also inking up that cone detail image because I wanted it a little bit deeper and intense in color, and I'm stamping that a second time on top of where I've already stamped. And you can see that that really creates the contrast on that ice cream scoop, and I only used one color of ink. So now I'm moving my images around to do some more stamping. I'm inking up the ice cream detail stamp in the Mint Julep ink from Hero Arts once again. And I inked up the solid image of that ice cream cone in some warm sunshine ink just to bring a little bit of yellow undertone to that cone. Now, once again, I'm going to double stamp the detail image in the same exact dye ink color that I used for the solid image to really build up the color on those detail images and create that contrast. And you can see the really cool contrast that I get. And I'm only using one color of dye ink for each of these ice cream scoops. So now I have all of my ice cream scoops stamped. I used the Hero Arts Tide Pool for that tealy colored ice cream scoop. And then the Altenew cotton candy colored ink for the darker pink scoop there. And what I'm doing here is I'm just stamping that detail image once again right over the top of those ice cream scoops. I'm just doing my best to line it up where it was before. I stamped it in some Versamark ink, and here I'm adding some Wow bonding powder. This is going to create a sticky area for some glitter to sit, which is what I'm adding right here. This is the Elizabeth Craft Designs Warm Diamond Glitter. So you saw me heat that bonding powder just till it melts. Then I added my glitter, and now I'm reheating it again to set that glitter into that bonding powder. I was really pleased with the results I got with this bonding powder. There was very little shedding of that glitter. And also when you're using this, I would recommend using an ultrafine glitter because that's going to really help it stick into the bonding powder as well. So now that I have all of my images stamped and glittered up, I cut them out with the coordinating dies, and now I'm going to work on my sentiment piece. Now, stamping on vellum can be tricky sometimes. Sometimes it gets a little slick. So that's where my Misty comes in again. I am just inking it up in some Versamark ink, and that will allow me to stamp it straight down onto the vellum. Then I can add some superfine detail white embossing powder from Ranger, and then I'm going to heat set that. And I did prep the surface of my vellum with my EK Success powder tool to prevent any embossing powder from sticking to areas that I didn't want it. So once I got that heat set, I took it over to my trimmer and I trimmed it down into a little strip. And now I'm bringing in my Misty to do a little background stamping. Now, all of the Misties come with this black foam piece behind the paper that's sitting on top. And it's removable. And the reason that it's removable is so that you can take it out and you can use these with your cling mount rubber stamps as well. So that's what I'm going to do here. I put that paper back onto the backer of my Misty so that I wouldn't get ink on that plastic part that's behind it. So I really like having this grid paper on hand. Now I'm inking that background stamp. This is the bold diagonal lines background stamp from My Favorite Things. I inked it up in some Altenew blush ink, and then I stamped it down onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock. Now that I have that kind of pattern paper created, I'm going to use the stitch border die from Pretty Pink Posh to cut a nice little scalloped stitched border on the edge of this piece. So I'm just lining it up using my grid mat, making sure that those kind of intersect at the same point so that I have it nice and straight. And then I ran it through my die cut machine and I'm left with that really pretty scallop stitched border. So now I'm taking my Big Shot and I am going to emboss this wonky stitch circle onto that vellum piece that I'm going to use as an overlay. So I have my multi-purpose platform here. It's on tab 1. I have my bottom cutting plate. Then I have my Sizzix silicone mat. I have the vellum, the die, and my top cutting plate, and I ran that through my die cut machine, and what that was doing was debossing that die image onto that vellum. It didn't cut, it just debossed, and the reason it just debossed was because I used that silicone mat. Now, I have to say, I was totally struggling with the layout, so when I am struggling with a card, what I do is I go ahead and I go with the sure thing. I knew I had my ice cream cone where I wanted it, so I'm going to just adhere it together so that I can kind of move it in one piece. So I have one layer of foam adhesive on the bottom where that cone is, and I have 2 layers of foam adhesive behind the scoop so that they're sitting up a little bit higher than the cone, and I kind of added them on there kind of all wonky so they look like they were almost falling off. Now, I could not find my foam adhesive, so I asked Siri, "Hey Siri, where is my foam adhesive?" And do you know what she said? "I don't know what you mean by where is my foam adhesive." So if you're ever crafting and you lose your supplies, Siri is completely useless. So here I am just trimming down a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock to add onto the front of my card. This will be my card front. I'm adding a piece of black and white striped paper here. This is actually stamped with the exact same background stamp that I used for that scallop piece earlier. I just stamped it in some black VersaFine ink instead. And once I found my foam adhesive, I was able to add a layer of that behind the ice cream cone that I created, and then add that vellum overlay piece to the card front. Now, once I get this adhered on there, I'm going to go ahead and adhere that scalloped piece. You'll notice that I cut it down, and that way I can use the other portion of that stamped piece on another project later on. I'm going to add a little tape runner adhesive to the front of that and then just position my card front over the top of that where you can kind of see it sticking out from the edge. And then I'm going to add just a few finishing touches. I added some sparkling clear sequins all over the front of this card and on the ice cream as well. And what would a stack of ice cream be without a cherry on top? So I'm going to add that cherry. I'm just partially inking the stamp so that I can get 2 different colors. I use the Altenew Cotton Candy dye ink on the bottom, and then I just inked up the stem with a little bit of the Hero Arts Mint Julep ink. I cut it out using the coordinating die. I added it to the top using a little bit of foam adhesive, and then I finished off my cherry with a layer of glossy accents to really make it shine. So here's a look at my completed project, a really fun and sweet birthday card with lots of sparkle. And you can see here, just by layering up those dye inks, the same color of dye ink, I was able to create plenty of contrast and dimension. I didn't need 2 or 3 different colors of dye ink for each of these scoops. I was able to achieve this look with just one color for each scoop. As always, I will have links to all the products used in this project over at the Classroom blog, where you can see more still shots and find more information. And I will have links to the featured products in the description at YouTube. All of these products are available for purchase over at ellenhudson.com. Thanks for stopping by today. Happy Satur-YAY, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.